Previously on The Name's Lamine.
Among all the mysteries found in MGS5 or MGSV, there's one that no one has yet managed to explain. Now imagine for a moment that after falling into a coma, Venom underwent facial surgery, was brainwashed by Ocelot, and then immersed in a VR simulation so that he could learn Big Boss's skills and complete his brainwashing thanks to the fictional events of the Phantom Pain VR program. But if Venom was in a virtual reality machine until he came to, what about the antagonist of the Phantom Pain?
Well, I'm sure you'll see the bigger picture, eventually.
Did Skullface really exist in the lore of the Metal Gear saga?
Follow me, Big Boss!
Does he really die at the end of Mission 31 as the game suggests?
Major... I'm burning up!
You thought Skullface was dead?
Think again!
With all the explosions, relentless action, and sequence-shot camera movements, Mission 31 is worthy of the greatest action films. But regardless of the stunning visuals, you might have missed some small details that are enough to challenge everything you see in what appears to be Skullface's final moments. So, in this video, we'll first analyze the Phantom Pain's missions 30 and 31, and then we'll theorize on the close link between Venom and Skullface. Without further ado, let's get started. As you've probably gathered from my previous videos on MGSV, absolutely nothing in the game is 100% certain as we experience everything through the eyes of Venom Snake, a manipulated, physically and mentally unstable man. And missions 30 and 31, like mission 46, The Truth, perfectly illustrate this instability, with a host of inconsistencies that Hideo Kojima has subtly placed right under the player's nose.
Facility Emmerich was talking about is north of the Soviet base. Boss, we need to figure out what Skullface is up to. If you make contact with him, get him to talk.
This is it, Huey has spoken, and the Diamond Dogs got to know where Sahelanthropus is and what Skullface intends to do with it. As a result, Snake and his team fly to OKB-0 in Afghanistan to finish off the XOF. Once there, Venom infiltrates the Russian outpost and goes to meet with Skullface. The first thing that stands out here is the OKB-0 unit. You only have to look at the soldiers to notice that they're all identical. Whether they're wearing helmets or not, they all share the same head and body. The second intriguing thing is Skullface's helicopter, whose pilot appears to be one of the Diamond Dogs. But more importantly, he completely disappears from the cockpit once Venom has the helicopter in his sight. But that's not all. It's also possible to read the number 17676 on the helicopter. With a little research, it turns out that in the US, this number refers to acetophenazine, a drug designed to treat perception problems and hallucinations.
In other words, you could have hallucinations.
Follow me, Big Boss!
After their encounter, Skullface takes Venom to a hangar behind the Serac power plant where Metal Gear is stored. On the way, it's possible for a brief moment to see burnt bodies on the ground. On closer inspection, those are exactly the same bodies Venom comes across in Africa, southwest of Mfinda.
The human brain is capable of many illusions.
But that's just the beginning of the strange things that await us, so let's keep digging. Upon arriving at the Metal Gear hangar, Eli manages to take control of Sahelanthropus thanks to the powers of Psycho Mantis and attacks everyone around him.
Such a lust for revenge? Oh!
Aware that he had just lost control of the machine, Skullface leaves the hangar, followed by Venom. Snake then hides behind wooden planks, while Skullface orders all his units to attack Metal Gear.
All units, move in!
As the machine arrives, we can see a truck at its feet. Then the XOF's tanks and helicopters attack Sahelanthropus, and Skullface can be seen quickly fleeing in a jeep. Given the speed at which he's leaving, you'd expect him to completely leave the area. Keep that in mind. Another thing I'd like to draw your attention to here is the fact that a jeep has appeared out of nowhere in front of the truck at Metal Gear's feet. Also, the two helicopters we see heading towards Sahelanthropus simply vanish from the screen for about 10 seconds, then resume their course and attack the machine as if they'd been frozen in mid-air for a few moments. Remember the truck and the jeep that appeared out of nowhere? Well, they were standing behind the hangar doors, but now they're standing in front of the doors without any explanation. Hell, even a third jeep suddenly appeared out of the blue. Meanwhile, Metal Gear takes out his whip and strikes the ground, releasing rocky spikes filled with metallic archaea. And if you think about it, they look exactly like Venom's horn, which by contrast grows out of his skull as he kills. In the midst of action, Sahelanthropus annihilates the XOF forces and launches a helicopter towards the pylon behind which Venom was standing, forcing him to flee. It collapses, and then Skullface magically reappears out of nowhere, this time alone under the pylon when he should be in his jeep a few miles away. And even if he did stay put, Skullface's last known position was quite far from where the pylon falls, so there's absolutely no reason for him to be here. Therefore, anything that happens to him from that point onwards is technically not possible.
You might see things that aren't there, and not see things as they really are.
So that means Skullface is a ghost. There you have it, folks. We've finally cracked MGSV. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon for another theory. What follows is even more interesting because we can see that Venom is hiding behind a tank, but Metal Gear attacks him and brings down another tank onto him. However, for a few seconds, Venom no longer sees a tank, but instead he sees the electric pylon falling on him as if he was taking the place of Skullface, who is about to be crushed by the same pylon a few seconds later.
I'm burning up!
In fact, the transitions between the two characters seem to be an eye blink, linking even more Venom and Skullface. And the best thing about these two scenes is that they perfectly mirror each other. Venom and Skullface see something falling on them, but a moment later we notice that they have absolutely nothing. For Skullface, however, this is only temporary as Sahelanthropus crushes him once and for all before taking the fight to Venom.
It's after you. Stop it, boss. Destroy Sahelanthropus.
After Venom's victory over Sahelanthropus, Eli is no longer sitting in the same place aboard the helicopter as he was at the start of the mission. Did he switch seats while he was busy controlling the machine? Once we reach Skullface's location, there's surprisingly nothing left but his Jeep. All the other vehicles that appeared out of nowhere have vanished, as if they were never there in the first place. Then, for the final encounter between Venom and Skullface, the game offers the player a false choice, shooting Skullface.
Finish me. Kill me.
Indeed, if you choose to shoot, Venom aims at Skullface's left forearm, but no impact lands on him, and his left arm remains intact, as if, like Venom, Skullface no longer had a left forearm either. What's more, with each shot, Venom appears as his former self, which is interesting given that it was when he woke up that he suffered the most from hallucinations. So I think this is a false choice here, because if the player chooses to shoot, Venom imagines himself shooting, but doesn't actually do it. Seeing that Venom is unable to hurt Skullface, Miller then decides to take the lead to make sure Snake shoots. He then targets Skullface's left leg and right arm to avenge the limbs Miller has lost. But as they open fire, Kaz and Venom change appearance, and Kaz takes on a bloodthirsty look, while Venom turns into Big Boss and looks almost sad at what he's doing.
Yourself. Mission complete, boss.
One of the things that most intrigued me about Skullface's supposed death was the speed at which Huey finished him off.
I did it! Revenge!
In barely 4 seconds, Huey manages to reach Skullface, pick up his gun, reload, and fire. And of course, all this happens off camera, so Venom doesn't actually see it. With Sahelanthropus and Skullface out of the picture, the Diamond Dogs return home. On Mother Base, Huey starts restoring Sahelanthropus and puts it back on its feet via a control panel. He is seen operating alone on a platform, but a few seconds later, that same platform is filled with soldiers, once again coming out of nowhere. At the same moment, Metal Gear stands and faces the Diamond Dogs, but in the next camera shot, its angle has changed. Then it goes back to face Venom before turning left again.
Sahelanthropus will unleash that thirst unto the future!
Sahelanthropus will unleash that thirst unto the future.
While Metal Gear is putting on a show, Miller is heard quoting Skullface's last words before taking the place of his ghost, thus becoming Venom's new demon. How did he come to know Skullface's last words without even being there at the time? Maybe thanks to that device attached to the pylon that could be some kind of transmitter, otherwise it remains a mystery.
There were 3. Where's the other?
Very close to you.
Big Boss can go to hell.
You will be my eyes. The deadliest enemy's right here in our midst.
I'll make the Phantom and his son stronger to send him there.
And they will get no mercy.
For that, I'll keep playing my role.
His country, his family, his face, his identity, everything was stolen from him.
We both are demons. Our humanity won't return. And that is why I'll show you my demon.
Venom, Snake, and Skullface are much closer than they seem, sharing many parallels. They have both lost their face, one in a fire, the other in an explosion. Their identity, one is no longer recognizable, the other is a clone. Their language, one is unable to speak his native tongue, the other is barely able to speak due to personality disorders and hallucinations, and therefore their country and family. Their body is invaded by foreign objects, parasites for one, pieces of metal, shrapnel, teeth and bones for the other. Their skull is damaged in the same place, one has black marks where the other has a horn. Both wear masks, one a real mask, the other a Big Boss mask. Finally, they are both ghosts of Big Boss, and their existence will be completely erased from history to become part of the legend of Big Boss.
With each change, I changed too. My thoughts, personality, how I saw right and wrong. Words can kill.
You hope hatred might someday replace the pain, but it never goes away. It makes a man hideous, inside and out.
With all these similarities between Venom and Skullface, aren't we actually talking about one and the same man? This would explain many things, including the fact that neither man is capable of killing the other. As a matter of fact, every time they meet, and despite all the opportunities to kill Venom, Skullface spares him instead, letting the skulls, the man on fire, Metal Gear, or the parasites try to stop him, as if they were tests designed to make Venom stronger. This would also explain why Venom was able to understand what Skullface was saying in Hungarian at the Devil's House, whereas he needed a translator for Russian and Afrikaans. It would also explain why nothing happens if Venom chooses to shoot Skullface before Kaz intervenes. He would in fact be shooting himself. That's why he lowers his weapon and spares Skullface. But what happens when Kaz forces Venom to shoot? One becomes a bloodthirsty man, and the other turns into a big boss who doesn't like what he's doing. From then on, with each shot, the glitchy lines I mentioned in my previous theory appear, expressing Venom's phantom pain towards Skullface and ultimately towards himself. Could Skullface be Venom's own demon, his illusory or virtual alter ego created from scratch to give meaning to the story of the Phantom Pain, a fictional demon that will be re-embodied as the true enemy of Venom and Big Boss, Kazuhira Miller?
Still, doesn't feel like this is over.
In a world, it's doublethink. In this year, 2 + 2 = 5.
Missions 30 and 31 of the Phantom Pain are, along with Mission 46, the 3 most important missions of the game, but ironically the ones with the most visual and plot inconsistencies. We can't believe what the game shows us, as we experience everything through Venom's manipulated mind. That's why, when we return to the Serac power plant after Mission 31, everything is as good as new, as if nothing had ever happened there.
It's nothing new in my line of work. Manipulating memories. The past.
So, who really is Skullface? Is he even real? Does he really die in Mission 31 as the game shows us? Or is he just Venom Snake's imaginary or virtual alter ego? If so, are the tapes in the game just another lie to further manipulate Venom? I'll let you make up your mind, knowing that in Metal Gear Solid V, facts do not exist. There are only interpretations.
So the Major sought a system that used information, words, to control the subconscious. I've long been the other side of your coin.